Hey guys, Tommy with Elevation every weekend here. If you watched my last video, which was the Fatbike timed lap shootout, I mentioned a couple times in that video, based on the results by this bike right here, the 2021 Salsa Beargrease, that I wanted to run it again and try to get a more accurate time on it for both laps, but especially the out and back lap. So that's what we're here to do today. The conditions are much better. It's much cooler. It is breezy, but it's not brutally windy like it was in that last video. The air quality is still poor, but again, not nearly as bad as it was the last time I ran this bike here. So we're going to try to get both these laps in today and hopefully at least get a more fair result from it to compare it to the other two bikes. So we're going to go ahead and get it going. All right, guys, we did get both laps in. I actually ran the out and back lap first today because I didn't want to take the chance of the wind kicking up even more because it is a little breezy. And a lot of times as the morning goes on, it'll get windier and windier, which is actually what happened last time. It went from bad to worse. And, you know, right now it's not too bad. But I did run the out and back first. Got a much quicker time. We'll analyze that when we get back to the house and talk about that in a little more detail. I did run the loop again. The time on the loop was actually based on the clock was about the same, maybe even slightly slower. Again, we're going to take a look at it. But as you'll see in the video that I did get, I got stuck behind some other cyclists and it wasn't really safe to pass them. So I think that, I mean, I know for a fact that that really impacted the time. So the loop time would have been at least a little bit better, but the out and back time was much better. I was glad I ran this bike again to get a fairer representation of what it's actually capable of. All right, guys, back at the house. Just going to do a real quick recap of the numbers just to give a little more analysis. So as you saw in the video, the second run on the loop, I got held up by a family riding their bikes, and it just wasn't safe to pass. It's one of the fastest sections of trail too, so I definitely lost a significant amount of time there, which is why the time I ended up with, which is a 1950, which was about 20 seconds slower than that original time that this bike put down, which was a 1930 and was the fastest time. I have no doubts in my mind I would have at least probably handily beat that time if I was able to go wide open through that section of trail. Again, it is one of the fastest sections of trail because it's kind of downsloping and you can really carry a lot of momentum, and what little bit of wind there was in that section was a tailwind, so it would have picked up a little more speed, but it is what it is. Maybe down the road I'll try to run that one again and see if I can get a more definitive time, but I think the 1930 that this bike put up that first time was not a bad time. So the time I was most interested in, the run I was most interested in trying was that out and back with the climb, that about 5.5 miles. That was the situation where this bike was the slowest, which was a surprise, but the conditions were horrible. So this second run, it was much better, and the bike performed much more in line with what I've expected. In fact, it decimated the times from that first go around of all three bikes. The first run, the average speed was 13.6 miles per hour, and that time was a 24.06 on the time. The second run, the average speed was 15.8 miles per hour, which was over 2 miles an hour faster on the average for that entire run, so that's a significant jump. And then the time reflected that as well, 20 minutes and 44 seconds, so about 3.5 minutes faster, which again, more in line with what I would have expected from this bike in the first place. So it definitely was able to put down the time, demonstrating that the conditions were so bad that first run. So that's really it. Just want to give you a little more analysis on the difference that the conditions made, and why I wanted to run this bike again and give it a chance to really demonstrate what I would expect from it, being the type of bike it is. So definitely got the results we were looking for based on that. So the one thing I might do down the road is put a 32 tooth chainring in front to really maximize that top speed, because I do spin this bike out fairly easily. And I think that would really, even further improve the capability of the bike and the kind of times it can put down on those types of, higher speed, faster rolling terrain. So that'd be something I'll probably be looking to do in the future. So hopefully you found this update video helpful. Hopefully you saw the previous video. If you haven't, I did link it down below, so definitely check it out. But if you're enjoying the content on this bike and all my fat bikes, please like the video and subscribe. I have lots more coming, lots more planned. The snow is starting to fly in the mountains, so it won't be long before we get a base layer and can start getting up there and do some actual snow fat biking. And I'm excited to get this bike up there and see how it does in the snow too. So thanks a lot and have a great day.